Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cybersecurity Revolution 2022. I'm Lennon Cheng. I'm the senior lecturer at Monash University. But before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owner where Monash operates and pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. This section is hosted by Monash Cybercrime Hub at Monash University, and I'm the coordinator of the hub. As usual, like last year, our section will focus on an update of the trend and challenges of cybercrime facing Asia. So the first part, we have three Asian criminologists or legal researchers to talk about cybercrime in 2021, including India, Thailand, and Taiwan. And for the second part, we have three emerging scholars to talk about their research on cybercrime in the region. We will be touching on issues relating to the responsibility of social media, disinformation, misinformation, issues relating to sexting, social media crime, and during the pandemic. And we will also have discussion on scam in China and Vietnam. And we'll also have discussion on Internet of Things and internet partner domestic violence, internet partner violence and domestic violence issues. I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any question relating to any of the presentations, please feel free to send me an email. I'll be very happy to send those questions to the presenters and get you back. All right, hello everyone. Today we're glad to have Dr. Jampong Pitasantayoshin to join us for Security Revolution 2022. And Jampong has been our regular guest in this conference or in this panel, and he's an expert of cybercrime in Thailand. So today he's here to share with us some of the new trends of cybercrime in 2021, especially during the COVID, under the COVID pandemic. And Japan is now the visiting researcher at Hankook University of Foreign Studies in South Korea. He is also an adjunct lecturer at the University of Muhammadiyah Surakarta, Indonesia. Sorry about my poor Korean and Indonesian. So, so first of all, Japan, would you like to introduce to our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Jampon Pitasantayoshin. Now I'm a visiting researcher of Hankook University of Foreign Studies and adjunct lecturer of law of UMS Indonesia. Before coming here, I worked as an assistant professor of comparative law at Mahidol University, Thailand. And my field of interest is cybercrime, cyber law, and human rights on the internet. So I remember last year you were talking about some of the trend of cybercrime in Thailand before 2020. Do you think, did you observe there's any update or a new trend of cybercrime in 2021, especially when we are sort of coming out from the pandemic? Yes, actually, after the first epidemic of COVID-19 in Thailand, there have been a lot of changes in the situations of cybercrime in Thailand. I think in other countries as well. In Thailand in particular, Thailand is the first country which the case of COVID-19 infections was found outside China. And since then, at the beginning, the government did not take much action because government believed that they
they could deal with the situation very well, but for some reasons later on, as it is the global trend, global situation, at the end of the day, the government had to accept that they need some more measures, some more restrictions to deal with the COVID-19. And during this period, a number of people have been asked to stay at home. The social distancing campaign has been launched even until right now, but at the moment it is not as serious and strict as in the past. And now, but during in last year and even during 2020, most people in Thailand had to stay at home, and they had to rely very much on internet activities. They study, they work, and they did online shopping and other banking financial transactions through the internet. So because of this, a number of cybercrimes incidents occurred. And another important thing is during this period, because of social distancing policy of the Thai government tried to put everything, including the important things like COVID-19 vaccination registration, on the internet as well. And because of this, people had to rely very much on the internet and smartphone applications. Of course, for younger generations, they don't have any problem to deal with this kind of gadgets and technologies. But for elderly people who have to register as well for get the medical treatment, for reserve the vaccination and so on, but they don't know how to deal with this kind of technologies. So they have become prime targets of cybercrime as well.
Well, it's actually very interesting. So what we're saying during the COVID pandemic, we're forcing a group of people who never used the internet to use the internet, and these are what we usually call, what we say, they fall in the digital immigrant category. And you also mentioned about those people are now the target for cybercrime. Can you sort of expand that a little bit more? What kind of cybercrime that are happening to them, or do you see any new trend of cybercrime that is happening in Thailand during last year?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I would like to say like this. Actually, there, as I have found, there are about 4 categories or 4 types of cybercrimes that occurred during the pandemic, actually until right now as well. The first one is about disinformation, or as we called fake news about the COVID and how to treat the COVID. Most information is available on the internet, especially through the chatting applications. The application Line, it is very popular in Thailand, and Facebook are 2 main channels for the disseminations of this kind of disinformation and misinformation about the COVID. I will come back to the details later on. And the second one is about the phishing websites and phishing applications. As I have already mentioned, that the Thai government tried to put their services on the internet and made it available online as a main channel. So it is technically, this policy forces people to go online, and this has become a loophole and becomes an opportunity for criminals, cyber criminals, to use it to create phishing websites and phishing applications to get the personal information, to trick people and get the information from the users. The third one, actually, it is, I'm not sure, but I just believe that there have been some kind of hacking activities, but in Thailand, I haven't heard about the hacking news, but we got some kind of news reports that personal data have been made available for sales on the darknet or on the internet. So I'm not sure whether these kind of data have come from the hacking activities or not. But I quite believe that they are the results of the hacking. But in Thailand, we don't have any kind of news reports about the hacking. We just know that some certain types of data are made available for sales online. And the fourth one is, it is a serious problem nowadays in Thailand. Is this called call center gang? It is a kind of scamming activities that somebody pretend to be the police officer, pretend to be the parcel delivery services, and they called you and trying to get personal information, and they will use the victim's information for other criminal activities. Although this one is not quite related to the internet, I think I just put it together, group it in cybercrime because it relates to other kind of criminal activities as well.
Well, it's actually very interesting. It links well to other speakers in this section. Like when you talk about the call center gang related to online scam, we actually have two speakers in this section who is going to talk about online scam related to call centers in China, as well as how Southeast Asia has becoming a hub for these call center gangs to conduct online scam. And we got another speaker, the Hui from Vietnam, using Vietnam as an example to talk about why Vietnam has been selected as a hub. Obviously, Thailand, according to what you just mentioned, seems to be one of the hub as well. And unfortunately, we don't see much research on really looking into why these countries, especially developing countries, becoming a destination for cyber criminals to use to launch the cybercrime. I think we'll go back to the other issue that you mentioned about disinformation, fake news. Can you expand that a little bit more? What kind of disinformation has been disseminating, and is that, I'm not sure if you can comment on this. Is there any laws or regulations that the government are using to combat disinformation or fake news in Thailand? Any new development on that?
Yeah, actually, Thailand has the Computer Crime Act for almost, over a decade already. And one provision in that Computer Crime Act criminalizes the inputting of false information into the computer system. So this law is clearly applicable to the case of disinformation or fake news. However, during the epidemic of COVID-19 in Thailand, there have been a lot of this kind of disinformation, especially with regard to the way to treat COVID at the beginning of 2020 and 2021, before the availability of vaccination. At the time, because COVID-19 was a new disease, people were panicked and they didn't know about how the nature of the symptoms, the nature of the diseases, and the way to deal with it. Because at the time, the vaccination was in the process of development. So a number of people, they they came with different ideas to treat this kind of new disease. For example, some people recommended to eat garlics, chilies, and something like that. Actually, is these kind of ingredients sounds more like tom yum ingredients, but they believe, they claim that this garlic and chili stuff can cure COVID-19. But obviously, it is not true. But this kind of this information was circulated to a number of people in Thailand through Facebook, to especially the chatting applications like Line. A number of elderly people believe it and just follow it. Of course, it is not that, I mean, doing something like this is not
Not really causing harm to the society.
Yeah, but anyway, it's nonsense to follow, especially when they claim that this is the recommendations from the doctors and so on, the reputable doctor, and even from the overseas doctors. Another information is about another fake news about the red zone area in Thailand. When they have a when a particular area or a particular province has high numbers of infected cases, the government will assign to be red zone. At the beginning of 2020, there were very few red zones in Thailand, but some fake news claims that Bangkok had become the red zone already, and some major cities in Thailand had become red zone already. So it creates some kind of panic for people living in that area. And some before the impositions of the restrictions, actually at the time, people could still travel freely, but some kind of fake news comes out claiming that travel to this province, travel to that province is restricted. People had to stay at home. They should not come out, and so on. Just like the how can I say, the scenes from the movies, something like that. Another fake news is about, I'm not sure, but people claim that they can use the Thai herb. It's called green chereta. In Thai, it's called Phá Thalai Jon. So there is no scientific proof that this kind of herb will cure COVID-19, but many people still believe that it can cure. And more importantly, it seems that the Thai government encourages people to rely on these herbs to deal with COVID-19 as well, although it has not been any scientific proof until now. I think it is related to some kind of the policy to promote the herbs in Thailand as well. And the last one that I want to give you as an example is, it is very painful to talk about this, but in Thailand, before the availability of the well-known brands of the vaccines in Thailand, or the vaccination in Thailand, we had a lot of problem about the brand of the vaccination. I don't want to mention the brands now, but at the time, because of the shortage of the well-known brands, as you know, the well-known brands of the vaccination. So Thailand had to import the less well-known vaccination and just gave to groups of people, especially those who were at risk, like doctors, nurses, and public health officers, something like that. And there was a rumor that there was a kind of plot to keep the well-known brand just for high-ranking officers, and they just gave the less well-known brand to ordinary people, or the doctors, nurses, and public health officers. So this reflects some kind of inequality in Thailand. Of course, I cannot deny it. But the problem is, because of this fake news at the time, people became panic, and they just lost their faith in the government as well. But the truth, I don't know. It is impossible to know, except you are the high ranking officers to get that kind of information. But because of this information, people felt very much that they become a kind of the victims of inequality in the Thai society as well. These are some kind of examples of fake news and disinformation circulated during the COVID pandemic period in Thailand.
Well, I think you touch on a very very important part of disinformation or fake news. Sometimes we don't really know whether the information is real or not. Even we have all this kind of fact checking agencies. I'm not sure if there's fact checking agencies in Thailand as well. I believe there must be some. But we see a lot of news that's now fact checkable, and like what you're saying, for example, those eating garlic, eating herbs seems to be a long tradition in East Asia culture or Asian culture, that it can help in boosting your immune system, or to increase your immunity to fight against disease. But like what you say, we tend to use more scientific research to test them now to see whether they are really effective. Well, I think it's very interesting, and there were definitely other issues, like when we talk about disinformation, misinformation, fake news. What's the responsibility of Facebook or other social medias in combating disinformation and misinformation? And this part we actually have your good friend Christy Jung to talk about this the responsibility of social medias in combating disinformation and fake news. So I'll probably leave this to her when she talk about cybercrime situation in Taiwan. Thank you very much, Japong. It's a very interesting discussion, and great to learn from you the development of cybercrime trend in Thailand in the past year, and hopefully we will have another round next year, and we'll have you to give more updates on the situation in Thailand. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes.
We're glad to have Professor Latha Subramaniam from University of Madras. She was here for Security Revolution 2021, and now we're in 2022. So she'll be here telling us the change of trend of cybercrime in India back in 2021, and if COVID pandemic has further changed the trend or caused more challenges to combating cybercrime in India. So Latha, would you like to introduce a little bit of yourself before we start our questions?
Thank you, Professor Lennon. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm glad that I'm part of your a session on cyber crimes in various Asian countries. So I think this is the second year we are doing this. Presently, I'm working in Madras University as assistant professor in criminology department, and I had been expertising and doing research on various topics relating to criminology, especially cyber criminology, and then social media crimes against women and children, restorative justice, and theoretical criminology. So I do possess a teaching experience of almost 20 years and research experience of 24 years, and served in other universities in Tamil Nadu also. So I'm sure that with my little expertise, whichever I have, I can contribute more on this topic.
To be humble, you definitely have no much better cybercrime in India than everyone of us here. And one of the reasons why I organized this what we call panel is we really want to let more people know what is happening in Asia, Southeast Asia, and East Asia, and to let the general public know maybe the difference between the West and the East, coming from more a global South perspective. So as what we say earlier, can you tell us a little bit about the change of trend of cybercrime in India since 2021? Is there anything special or any special type of cybercrime, or even like, for example, disinformation, or we just mentioned social media crime against women and child in India?
Yes, actually, there is a change in the trend of cyber crimes in India. The first thing is, like I can say, the reporting of cyber crimes have been improved. We can take it other way also, that more number of cyber crimes happening and reporting is happening equally. So like, for example, if you take the situation in the year 2018, it was around 212,000 cases reported. According to the National Crime Records Bureau of India, there is a report every year which has been released by the Central Ministry, that is federal government, that we call as Crime in India report. So according to that report, in the year 2018, the total number of crimes reported under cyber crimes are somewhere around 212,000. But if you take 2022, that is the recent last 4 months, the numbers are quite equal or even more than what is reported in the whole of the year 2018. So even in the first half of the 2022 itself, we have more than 224,000 cyber crimes registered. I'm talking only about the registered cases, but we also, as every country have a lot of unregistered cases also. In fact, they say like more than 1 crore of cases getting unreported in the country and not registered also. When people go and complain the case, the process of registration do not take place because of various reasons. So if you count on those cases, it will be much more than what was there before pandemic, or at least the last 2 years. So definitely there is an increase of cyber crime in various genres, and also the reporting is also getting improved because the government has taken a lot of initiatives to make people report, and the websites and other things are more easily available for the people to report. So there is definitely a change in reporting, and also like the number of crimes. So if you want to say about what type of crimes are actually increasing and what are the recent trends in cyber crimes in India, then definitely I can say recently, before 2019, the most of the crimes we reported are only of pornography in nature, or only crimes which are targeting a person, especially a woman or a girl child. So that was the only trend. But after 2019, the cases started reporting from the corporates also. And now the recent trend is we have a lot of cases registered under cyber stalking, cyber bullying. So these cases are registered under crimes against women and children. And regarding the corporate crimes or other crimes, financial crimes, definitely there is a great increase in financial crimes, especially OTP frauds, then phishing, then social engineering. So all these are becoming very rampant. Like almost every day, more than 2,000 cases are getting reported even under financial frauds category. So that is a recent trend. After pandemic, like India is a second supplier of internet users in the whole of the world. China is the first user and India is the second user. So almost 356 billion people are using internet in India presently. So this is expected to be 500 billion in the year 2023. So more and more users of cyberspace, we do have a lot of crimes getting registered. So the numbers of cyber crimes are also going, and we also get a lot of financial frauds. So that is one recent trend during the pandemic. We have many ATM frauds, many credit card and debit card frauds, and then OTP for frauds, and a lot of crimes that target elderly people and also women who uses financial spaces. So that is getting increased. And simultaneously, there is a great increase in the side of crimes against women and children. I can't say that it is an increase of women and children, crimes against women and children, but again, the reporting is becoming higher, and all the conventional forms of crimes against women and children are now moving to cyberspace, and hence the rate of cyber crimes against women and children we see in an increasing trend.
So when you say crime against women and children, can you give us some examples on what are any specific type that is popular in India, especially like maybe I mean, I know a lot of students in India are doing sexting and that sort of issues.
Yeah. So if you want to go on the rank, number 1 to number 5 or whatever be, the first ranking crime which is happening against women and girl children is definitely pornography. So a lot of pornographic websites that target women and children in the social media, and they try to take the photographs of the girls and the women who are like the recent trend is the celebrities are no more wanted. You know, they target the housewives and also the girls who are going to colleges and schools. So like they target such people's pictures and videos, and they try to use artificial intelligence to create a picture of them, and they float it in the media. So that is one crime which is actually topping the entire country. And the recent trend is like, unlike before last year's, lot of trafficking using the online space is definitely happening. Like there are online predators who have moved onto the cyberspace. Originally, we call them as traffickers, but now they're called as online predators because they are in the online space. So these online predators are very rampantly existing in the cyberspace, and they target again the women and children, and they try to attack them by various means, by cheating them or by blackmailing them or to some other mode. So they try to take them into control and they traffic them. And in fact, recently, a lot of cases have been reported that there are a lot of groups that are forming where the online predators are the source of creating the group. They create the group, then they target the women who are working or who are housewives, who don't have any clue about such crimes. They talk to them very good, and then they try to bring them into the groups. And when they come to the groups, they are trying to, get into the sexual activities. And with that, the blackmailing and other things are happening. So simultaneously, they are gaining both financial benefit and also personal benefit out of these women. So this trend is very recently happening, in addition to the other two forms of crimes, that is cyberbullying and cyber stalking. So cyber stalking is also more rampant nowadays. But the first thing is pornography. Second thing is like cyber trafficking. Then we can say cyber stalking, then cyber bullying. So these are the four things. And finally, cyber defamation. See, cyber defamation is considered to be very, a trivial offense here. Nobody takes it very seriously. But now people started looking into as a great offense. When you don't like a woman, be a celebrity or be a normal woman, immediately the person who don't like the woman or the group who they don't like, they immediately target them in the cyberspace and try to defame them. So cyber defamation is also becoming very common. Well, sir, I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
Sorry, it's very much related to cyber stalking, cyber bullying, and you also mentioned about AI and pretty much the use of deepfake. So is there any measures or ways that Indian government or private sectors like business in India are adopting in order to combat this type of crime?
Yes, lot of changes have happened in the last 2 years, especially in the last 1 year. The government, tried to understand the seriousness of the cyber crimes, and they have created a lot of platforms wherein the victims can easily contact the cybercrime cells and they can report it. So that is one development. And second development is like previously there were only few cybercrime cells across the country, but now the government mandated that every district in every state should have one cybercrime cell. So like that is one development, and people can easily go and report there. And also they have a lot of online portals like nic.gov.in where they can go. And we also have a lot of toll-free numbers. And the laws are also becoming little stricter, and the responsibility on the service providers is also getting stricter nowadays, that they will provide easy evidence, or they should not evade themselves from giving the evidence. So the government is taking a lot of efforts from their end, though the number of cases are getting increased, and that is creating an alarming situation here. The government is also equally taking a lot of efforts to create awareness among the public also. So through various portals like media and social media, they are trying to advertise the sources where they can report. And also, like, if you could find our government websites, you can find a lot of videos and messages that can explain various types of crimes, including phishing, online fraudster, etc. So there are a lot of efforts from the government than the previous years.
Well, it sounds actually very, very good. And it's actually related to a question I was going to ask you as well. Well, we see a huge increase of the reporting of cybercrime in India. And you just mentioned that the government has put in a lot of efforts in educating the general public to report the case. And I believe there might be some other elements that have that is connected to the increase of reporting of the of cybercrime. For example, is that people are more willing to report now after all the cybersecurity awareness trend education or program? Is there any cybersecurity awareness program that has been launched in the past year or two?
Yeah, the element which makes people to report is the loss is actually very heavy these days. Previously, the loss was only like photographs or whatever be. But now the loss incurred due to the cybercrime is actually heavy. Like sometimes they lose their personal reputation. And more than that, the financial loss is getting more nowadays. So once the financial loss is more, the people obviously want to go and report to the police to get something. For example, like I can say, one of a known persons, he actually lost almost 1.75 lakhs in the last year. Just a minute. Yeah. The main reason for reporting and the element that makes them to report is the loss is a bit heavier than the previous years. Previously, it was only losing a photo or your mobile phone or whatever be. But now the financial loss is also added. So whenever they lose something through phishing or other modes, they lose a lot of money. For example, like one of the known person, he lost around 1.75 lakhs in one click, in just one click. So when the loss is 1.75 lakh, he definitely want to go to the police and try to get either cyber insurance or at least a way to block that amount is not transferred to the criminal. So that is one reason that makes people to go and report to the police station. And another reason is definitely the role of media. You know, our TV channels and other channels, they give a lot of importance if any such crimes actually do happen, especially against women and children. So they try to bring it to the knowledge of the public, and the public also feel that, okay, if something happens, we can definitely go and report to the police station and the police will take some action. So that confidence is slowly building on the police, which makes people to go and report.
Well, it's actually good. I know from your Facebook post and some of the news in from India that Indian government are putting quite a lot of resources into the cyber policing and build a more special task force for policing cybercrime in India. And I know that there are also some special cybercrime police division in Tamil Nadu as well. And it's good to see that more and more people are building more trust with the police who are investigating into this area. I think one thing I probably want to ask you or want you to talk about is we see I know disinformation, misinformation, fake news is also a big issue in India. Can you sort of tell us a little bit about it and how it impacts India, and how is there any special measures that has been adopted by the government in tackling this?
Yes, if you could review the report of the crime in India, you can definitely say among the cyber crimes, fake information is one category that is more reported. So like fake information or misinformation is one of the, major issue that happens in India. So the government do have a lot of websites like Fact Check, where you can go and check the facts. And frequently the police, the government, and the agencies which are connected to the government, they keep publishing that what are the right informations and what are the fake websites. For example, the Cybercrime Division in India has taken an initiative that there is a website exclusively for the purpose of reporting the fake websites. You know, like for example, if I come across a fake website which offers for example, some financial benefit or whatever or a kind of fake information which is not verified. So I can definitely report it to the particular center, and they will check it up. And after checking up, they will list it as a kind of misinformation providing website or fake website. So this gives a lot of information to the public that they should not go and get cheated over there, or they should not believe the information. So both for the content checking and also the fact checking regarding the reliability of the website, now the government is improving such initiatives. And frequently we get a lot of announcements from the government also that what is right and what is not. So slowly the momentum in understanding cybercrime, cybersecurity measures are definitely increasing among the government and also among the public. Though we have certain issues like, despite all these efforts, some people do not go and report, and some cases go, uninvestigated. Almost 40% of the cases do go uninvestigated for various reasons. But despite that, I can see that this is a growth happening in understanding these cyber crimes and cybersecurity.
Well, it's always hard to really have all to act the police to have 100% of investigation rate or the clearance rate, as they got a lot of issues relating to crime investigation, especially on cybercrime. And we all probably see quite a bit of cybercrime that are actually initiated from places outside India, or even in the neighborhood countries, and targeting India. But this is definitely something I think we need to build a more international collaboration.
India is one among the 5 targeted country in the Asian Pacific region. Yes. China is the first country, Pakistan is the second country, and India stands third. In the last 1 year, many cybercrime attacks have been happened against India, and almost 23,000 websites of leading corporate companies have been hacked. So when you talk about general crimes, India is definitely on a getting threatened situation. But I'm sure that the corporates and government hand in hand work on this, and they're trying to create a lot of awareness and also security measures.
Well, I know Australia also have a new agreement with the Indian government to build up a cyber and critical infrastructure protection thing. There might be something that would probably be able to work together between Australia and India, or even more inclusively, including a country like Thailand, Myanmar, or Vietnam. So I forgot to mention that Professor Lasta is also the secretary of Asian Criminological Society, and she's now very busy in organizing the Asian Criminological Society conference in 2022. Do you want to sort of have a quick advertisement on that and encourage more people to join us in July?
Yes, we have the 13th Asian Criminology Conference of Asian Criminological Society between July 20 to July 23 at Gujarat. That is a central part of India. And the month of July will be very pleasant. Everybody can visit. And moreover, the topics, the themes and sub-themes of the conference would be very interesting. That is related to technology and criminal justice system. So Professor Lennon has the brochure and the link of the conference. I encourage everyone and invite everyone to contribute by way of presenting some papers and also participating and visiting India. Presently, the COVID situation in India is under control and there is no kind of fear related to that. So I invite everyone on behalf of Asian Criminological Society to take part in this conference.
Thank you, Dr. Lasa. Thank you for your time. And I believe people will be very interested to learn more about cybercrime in India, and hopefully they'll be interested to participate in the Asian Criminological Society conference in July this year. Thank you again.
Thank you, Professor Lennon. Thank you for this opportunity. And it's a great time interacting with you. Bye.
Hello, everyone. It's great to have Dr. Christy Zhang to share with us some of the cybercrime problems during the COVID pandemic in Taiwan, especially the cybercrime cases happened in 2021. And Dr. Zhang is actually, if you are following our security regulation, Security Revolution 2021, she was one of our speakers as well. So today she's here to update us what is a new trend of cybercrime, or what has been the issues relating to cybercrime that happened in the past year. Dr. Zhang is an associate professor at National Taipei University of Technology, and her research focuses on cyber laws, cyber regulation, as well as Intellectual Property Act. So welcome, Dr. Zhang. I'll pass the microphone to you.
Okay, so nice to see you online again. I mean, this year, I'm honored to join this Security Revolution conference. So as Dr. Lennon just mentioned, actually, I found there's a high correlation between the COVID-19 and the cyber crimes in Taiwan. But I will begin with a synopsis of Taiwan's cyber crimes in the past 5 years, so the audience may have a better, clear picture of why I say that there's a high correlation between the COVID-19 and the cyber crimes. So I will divide my presentation today into 3 parts. First of all, I will give a brief introduction about the cyber crimes in Taiwan in the past 5 years. And then I will explain why I think there's a high correlation between the COVID-19 and the cyber crimes in Taiwan, especially in the year of 2021, last year. And then in the part of discussions about major issues and the countermeasures in Taiwan, I choose one-page fraud this year. Last year, we discussed a lot about disinformation, but last year we focused more on the foreign states operation, disinformation operation. So this year, I focus more on the commercial disinformation. The one-page fraud is becoming a key concern in Taiwan. So actually, I think at the end of last year, I attended a press conference held by the Congress. And actually, we discussed a lot about whether we should impose more legal obligations towards the digital platforms to protect the consumers online. Okay, so the first part, a synopsis of the cybercrimes in Taiwan during 2016 and 2020. You see, actually, the case numbers are shown in the yellow bar, and the cases resolved, the percentage of the cases resolved are shown in the red figures. So basically, the number of the cases are almost the same from 2016 to 2020, right? You see, there are more or less between 30,000. And so this is another number to give the audience a better picture about the major categories of the cybercrimes in Taiwan. You see, if I take this column as an example to explain what this table says. So this number 105 means the year 2016, and the number 13362 means the number of the cases. And this percentage, 81, means the number of 4 major categories of cybercrimes accounted for more than 80% of the total cybercrimes in Taiwan. So what are the 4 major categories of the cybercrimes in Taiwan? The first category is the frauds. So there were 4,521 cases in the category of fraud in Taiwan in 2016. And then the second category is libel, and it is 1,866 in 2016. And the third category is computer misuse, that is 2,325 cases in 2016. And the 4 major category is IP infringement, intellectual property infringement, that is 2,243 cases. So among more than 13,000 cases, about 9,578 cases are resolved. So the percentage of the cases resolved were about 71%. So from this category, you see that each year from 2016 to 2020, the trends of the cybercrimes remain quite stable. But what changed in the year of 2021? Certainly, I think the COVID-19, the outbreak of the pandemic has changed people's lives in many, many ways. So from Taiwan's cases, first of all, I spotted some phenomena, say because of the COVID-19, a lot of people started to work from home. So smart family applications, the usage of the smart family applications has become more and more prevalent. So that also means more and more opportunities for hackers. Last year, Taiwan is among the top 3 countries in terms of the cyber attacks against the smart family applications. So among all the attacks, 60.5 million of them, they are from internal attacks, and 250 million of them, they are from external attacks. And the second phenomenon in 2021 is a lot of cyber scams, they are related to the investment opportunities. The number of the internet frauds in 2021 is 4,904 cases. So almost 5,000. It's a 70% increase compared to the last year. So quite scary. Most of them are about frauds related to the digital currencies and stock investment. It may have something to do with the bull market in 2021. I don't know. So the highest number of internet frauds in the past 3 years. 2021, there are more than 24,000 fraud cases using the internet or communication apps to lure the victims into the traps. And the total losses are more than 5 billion new Taiwan dollars. Both the case numbers and the losses numbers reached the highest point in the past 3 years. See, the third major concern, the phenomenon, is data leaks. The data leaks has a sharp rise in 2021. If we compare the data in 2021 and 2020, we see the top 5 data leak shopping places. The first one in 2021 is Elite Bookstore, which was reported 940 cases of data leaks last year. It stands as a top 1 most dangerous place in Taiwan in terms of data leaks. And the number second is the ET Mall. It's an online shopping website. There were 868 cases reported. And the third one is Shopee. It's a Singapore-based online e-commerce website. It was reported 300 cases. Compared to the number of the cases in 2020, the top 1 only reported 383 cases. And the number 2 to number 5, there were on average about 200 cases per store. So it's easy to be seen that there's a sharp rise of data leaks. And let's get back to the highest number of the internet frauds about the investment. Actually, I also noticed that there's an interesting phenomenon about the cybercrimes in 2021, which is also evolving with the technology, because a lot of them are about the non-fungible token. You see, while the technology evolves, the excuses or the traps used by the cyber criminals, they evolved with the popular terms as well. So in the last year, 1.2 million cases of malicious phishing links reported by the global security company, and global number shows 650,000 cases of them are related to non-fungible tokens. That's speaking globally. But in terms of Taiwan, there were about 53,000 cases. They were non-fungible token related, accounted for 8% of the global cases, which is quite shocking to me. So speaking of the trends of the cybercrimes in Taiwan last year, there's also a phenomenon worth of attention, which is I just mentioned about the commercial disinformation, using the one page to show the fraudulent information and to lure the victims into the traps. See, here I show you an example of the one-page advertising. And because people use the mobile phone a lot, it's very easy for them to overlook the information which didn't show on the website, because it looks like very much the same as people's impression about the real websites. But when you check the fraudulent websites, they are usually they usually have the following 6 characteristics. Like, you couldn't find the company address, you couldn't find the contact phone or other connection information, and the selling price is significantly lower than the real market. So that's why it can lure the customers. And the third characteristic is make such claims as free shopping, 7-day appreciation period, allowance for unpacked inspections, and so on, etc. And the fourth point is all the advertisement related messages are positive comments without any negative ones. Okay. The fifth point is one can only pay by cash on delivery or by credit card. And the final point is the web pages are mostly mixed with simplified Chinese characters and look rough and ugly. So based on the 6 characters, let's see. So from this one-page advertising from, we couldn't find the contact information, and there are indeed some simplified characteristics. And the price of these products are significantly lower. And also, it's very easy to overlook the information they didn't provide if you just swipe your mobile phone without thinking too much about checking the genuine information of the real websites, if you didn't make the comparisons in between. So regarding how to deal with these one-page frauds, actually, the local police, they think this issue is quite strongly, because these websites are usually based on the foreign countries. The server, when you check the IP, you will only trace the IP in a foreign country. It is quite difficult for the local police to track down the real criminals behind the screens. So what can we do? On 4th of November in 2021, I attended the public hearing held by the 4 legislators in the Congress, as I just mentioned. Actually, we discussed a lot about maybe we should impose more legal responsibilities towards the digital platforms, because the police, it's difficult for the police to trace these criminals behind the screens. So the only person or the only connecting point to these criminals, actually the digital platforms, they have a lot of power. If they can pay more attention to this kind of one-page advertising, they may play a positive role in preventing the victims from falling into the traps. So that's what we discussed last year in the Congress. But I don't think at this point, I think the legislation proposal is not making any progress. So maybe later, let's see. So that is my presentation today. Do you have any questions or?
Well, thank you, Dr. Zhang. I think that's a very interesting presentation, especially when we talk about the NFT as well as one-page advertisement fraud. And the so-called one-page advertisement fraud is one of the case I usually use in my cybercrime unit as well, because I was one of the victims. Well, no shame to say that we shouldn't blame the victim. But I know what Australian banks do is that if you go to the if you pay for the one-page advertisement, I mean, you buy things on Facebook, and you realize it's a fraud, and you go to your bank will usually be able to refund you lose. So there might be something good about the system in Australia in combating the one-page fraud. But what I find interesting, probably there's something you probably discuss in the legislative end, is that when we talk about the platform responsibility, the one-page fraud is probably quite different to the disinformation or misinformation campaign that we used to talk about. So when we touch on one-page fraud advertisement, it means Facebook is getting money for advertisement. So it's obvious that we might want Facebook to take more responsibility, since they are receiving money from the advertisers and getting benefit from them. But if you are talking about just a normal dissemination of fake news, disinformation, or disinformation campaign, it might be individual users who are not paying Facebook to do the promo. Well, they might be paying the Facebook for promoting certain advertisements, but for the majority, for most of the cases, it's usually individual users who just try to use Facebook as a platform. So how do you differentiate the two? Do you think there should be a different regulation or different responsibility of Facebook when they face these two different groups? You see what I mean?
Definitely. Because I think you just mentioned a very good point, is that these one-page fraudsters, they pay money to the Facebook. And this is a commercial behavior, right? And this is a commercial speech. So I think there are differences between regulating a commercial speech and the regular speech. And especially while the commercial speech, they have the monetary transactions in between. So in this case, I think the Facebook is according to the legal doctrines. I mean, in Taiwan, I think Facebook is obliged to bear more responsibilities. Although I'm not sure what kind of responsibilities would that be yet.
Well, can we go back to the consumer laws or the what do you call the fair trade law, not fair trade law, consumer laws to regulate kind of things?
Yeah, because the consumer protection laws, they are more about the protection of the individual users. And we just mentioned about the Fair Trade Act, although in part, it also played a role in protecting the consumers, but at the core of this act, it's more about maintaining the fair competition in the markets. So it's more about maintaining the fair competition rules. So it's not much about protecting the end users.
Okay. And the other thing I found interesting is that it seems the police in Taiwan are doing very well in clearing the cybercrime cases. We see 88% of clearance rate in Taiwan. Is that?
I have to warn you, the number I got from the policing bureau.
You mean there might be some manipulation of the data or dark figure there?
Well, I trust the government.
They're impressive. But what I find interesting is it seems that the number of cybercrime is actually decreasing. So when you talk about fraud, when you talk about other type, the only one type that is on the increase is defamation. So you see a lot more cases of defamation in between 2017 to 2020.
Yeah.
2021. Yeah, from 1,666 to 3,000 something. But for other types, even fraud is
declining, right?
Yeah, it's declining. That's a very interesting scenario, especially when we talk about COVID, cybercrime and COVID pandemic. Online fraud is always the one that everyone is showing data that is on the increase rather than on decreasing.
Yeah.
So
the data I show you, the first table is about the data in 2016 to 2020.
Yeah,
so no 2021. So
but
in
still 2020 is
2021,
very much into
the
COVID.
liable cases.
Yeah. But we'll
So
definitely personally be very interested to see the data on in 2021, just whether that's a huge increase in cybercrime in Taiwan.
Yeah, definitely, because I collected information from the news report and the reports of the cybersecurity companies. So there's no official records released yet. If I can get the official records from the police bureau, I think to compare the data in different years would be very interesting, especially the data last year.
All right, I believe there'll be a lot of questions from the audience, but I'll leave it until the day when the conference is on, and I'll make sure that I'll pass the question to you. And till then, thank you very much again, Dr. Zhang. I know it's been late for you and been late for me as well. But thank you again very much for the great presentation.
Okay, good to see you, Lennon, and thanks for having me in this conference.